Brooklyn Independent Television.
When it comes to Pop Warner football or Sandlot football, how you want to put it, this guy is one of the faces to see. Is Chris Legree, head coach of the Mo Better Jaguars. They've been around since, what, 1995?
Yes.
Right after the Million Man March, right? I remember that because they just had the anniversary for the Million Man March about a month ago. Now, we want to talk about your team, how they're doing so far as the Mo Better Jaguars.
Doing very well. We're very happy about our younger divisions. We have some kids that are doing very well in the classroom, as well on the football field, and next year could be a banner year in terms of regional play, possibly a national championship run.
Now, where does your team play in the city, or are you still in Jersey?
We participate in the North Jersey Pop Warner Football League.
Who's that consist of?
Which consists of teams Elizabeth, Linden, Rawway, Newark, Montclair, in that area, and it's a very, very competitive league. We're very happy with it.
All right, cool. Now, PSAL playoffs are here, and things are moving forward. How do you see it, especially right now? They're starting. Lincoln High School, you got Lincoln, you got Fort Hamilton, you got Tottenville. Those are some of the top teams. Also, Curtis High School, Campus Magnet. You have it, you know, it seems to be spread out this year more evenly. But Tottenville is one of the top teams. You got to give that.
Well, if you look back last year, Tottenville was a finalist who lost to Wagner late in that game. Yeah, lost to Curtis.
In the championship game.
Also, Fort Hamilton lost in the last 2 minutes in the semifinals. Those teams will be knocking on the door. And I mention those two because experience always pays off in these kind of games.
And especially Tottenville had that taste in their mouth. They never forgot they lost that championship to Curtis, and they said Coach Jimmy Munson always saying to his team, play 6 points. Play up those 6 points because I think they lost by a touchdown.
I'm wondering if they feel as much as Fort Hamilton. If you remember, it was very emotional. It was Vinny Lando's last season.
Right.
They thought they had the game won in the last 2 minutes. They were undefeated, I believe.
And that's a sad thing. When you go undefeated during the regular season, and, you know, the playoffs are a new season, you lose the playoffs next year.
Well, football it's one of the toughest games in terms of dealing with loss. When you lose in the playoff, it's the finality of it that really is the thing that sticks. You could be undefeated all season, but when it's all said and done, they only talk about the last game. So all the good, positive stuff that was generated during the season, it gets drained when you're losing the playoff. It's tough.
As far as Tottenville, they have running back Gil Mendoza, also quarterback Brandon Barnes.
Yes, well, Brandon is a kid that I know. I coach a little bit. I'm good friends with his father, and I think he's going to be the key in terms of how he handles the pressure, how he handles bad weather. I always say that when I come to the show, we always talk about the elements. The elements sometimes have a bearing on these games, and you need players who have the experience in dealing with adverse weather conditions.
And he's a sophomore, so he'll be back next year.
Yeah. But he's a little bit of an unusual sophomore because Brandon's been playing football since he's 5. So he's been around.
So he's something like a football prodigy like your nephews, David. David's right now at Hampton University, doing pretty well at Hampton in the MEAC.
Doing very well. He's a little banged up right now. Got a knee problem, but we're very proud of his progress.
Yeah, Fort Hamilton, they're playing Port Richmond. This is all taking place November 13th, so the show will be on the air, and these games will be played, and someone will be one and done. You have Campus Magnet is playing Lehman. Erasmus is playing Clinton at Midwood. Jefferson against Brooklyn Tech. And Curtis Flushing, and boys and girls, and Susan Wagner.
Boys and girls is interesting. I think that they're a team to watch. They're very impressive last week in their game against Jefferson when they were behind, and they ran off on 34 unanswered points. They're young, but they seem to be getting better every week. They did play Lincoln during the year. They struggled somewhat. They're kind of my long shot.
Switching the subject real quick. Big article came out in the Daily News about a month ago about as far as some of these teams, like yourself, Pop Warner football teams, are basically farm teams for the high schools. Is that wrong? Is that right? Is there anything wrong with that? Because they do the same thing in basketball. Same thing has been done in basketball. Basketball has been criticized, especially with the AAU being farm teams for some colleges.
I wasn't too happy with the article, but myself, I understood the idea. The idea was they were linking Sandlot associations like myself, like the Renegades, like the Hurricanes of Staten Island, directly filtered into certain high schools.
Right. Hurricanes are basically the farm team.
And for Curtis and Tottenville.
Right.
Well, you know, kids, this is New York City. Kids have to go to school somewhere. And at Mo Bet, our philosophy is simple. No matter what high school the kid goes in, he has to do well. We have kids in 20 schools across the East Coast. We have kids in prep schools. We have kids in poly prep. We have kids at Erasmus, Fort Hamilton. We even have kids at Jefferson. I mean, so we don't narrow it down like that. We want our kids to be successful.
So what is the big deal then? I mean, because this has been going on for years, especially some kids have gone to Don Bosco, some kids have gone on to poly prep, and these, you know, as far as these high schools or prep schools have had to pick of the litter because they have the money to get these kids out of certain neighborhoods and give them a good education and maybe going to college.
Well, sometimes outside influences influence the decision. I mean, people talk to parents. We try to educate our parents as to how to go through the process of picking a school that suits your child. Sometimes travel's a factor for kids. There's a lot of variables to it, but it shouldn't be solely based on football. That's the bottom line. It should be an educated decision based on how can the school best service the child. And I always tell any high school coach that I talk to, I just want the kid to be SAT ready by his junior year so he has a chance to be successful in life.
High school football these days, where is it in New York City?
I think it's in transition. I think that more community-based organizations like myself are getting involved with some of the high schools, which I like. I also think we have to look at the coaching, the quality of the coaching, and getting our coaches better trained. And the public school athletic league, due to budgetary reasons probably, most of the time there's only 1 or 2 paid staff guys on these staffs. I think we got to make sure we get better qualified people to work with the kids.
And maybe some corporate funding would be
never
bad,
hurts,
especially from some of these companies.
It never
companies,
hurts.
right?
I mean, that's what they say. If you want to see a successful football program, look to the left of it, and there's probably some financial resources there also.
Good. Thanks, Chris. Always. We'll have you back also maybe around the playoffs again.
Okay, I just want to
especially during the championship.
Can I give you my final four before we go? I have Fort Hamilton, Tottenville, Campus Magnet, and my surprise Boys and Girls High School in the Final Four.
Oh, you're going to live and die on that, right?
Yeah.
All right, good. We're back. That's it.
Follow us on Twitter at BK Independent TV.